Good morning, guys, and welcome to Tuesday, the 19th of January. It's your second maths lesson this week. And today we're starting a new topic. So we're going to start thinking about units of measure and how we convert between them. Before we go into any of that, as usual, I want us to do a starter to get our brains warmed up. So if you could have a look at the questions here for me, it's questions 1, 2, and 3. I'd like you to pause the video. I'd like you to have a go at these questions. And then I'd like you to come back, we'll come back together and we can have a look through the answers. So pause the video and have a go for me. Brilliant, hopefully we've done okay with that one. So let's move on to some answers. We've got question number 1. Workers in a factory make toys. On Monday, they make 2,350 toys. On Tuesday, they make 235 more toys than they did on Monday. By Wednesday, they have to make 7,500 toys in total. How many toys do they need to make on Wednesday to make their total? Right, so we've got all the information. We just need to work through it step by step. The first thing to do is know that on Tuesday, they make 235 more toys than Monday. So if they're making more, we're going to do some adding. So to work out Tuesday, we do 2,350 add 235, and that leaves us, as you can see there, with 2,585. So that's Tuesday. Then, at Wednesday, we have to make a certain number in total, and we're going to take away what we've already made. So to work out what we've already made on Monday and Tuesday, we need to add Monday's toys and Tuesday's toys together. So 2,350, add 2,585 equals 4,935. That's how much we made in the first 2 days. So we need 7,500 on Wednesday, and then we take away what we've already made, which is that 4,935 we've just got, and what we're left with is what we've got to make on Wednesday. So here we go. Take it away, we're left with 2,565 toys to make on Wednesday. So we're going in a multi-mark question if it was to come up in an assessment paper, but if you work through step by step, it makes a bit of sense. Question 2. How much does 250 grams of carrots cost? Now this might be a bit tricky if you don't remember your units of measure, because we've not covered them yet in a lot of detail in year 6. That's what we're doing this week, but I thought I'd give you these ones to see what you remember. So £1.80 per kilogram. Now a kilogram is 1,000 grams. How much does 250 grams of carrots cost? Well, 4 lots of 250. Oh, apologies. There's my alarm. So 250 grams goes into the 1,000 grams 4 times. So to split it into 4, we do £1.80 divided by 4 is 0.45. So 250 grams of carrots cost 45 pence. If you didn't fully follow or didn't completely understand, that's okay. That's what we're going to be looking at this week. Now, number 3, parsnips cost £2.60 per kilogram. How much does 300 grams of parsnips cost? Now, we do the same thing, 1,000 grams in a kilogram, but hopefully we're seeing 300 grams does not go in exactly to 1,000. There are ways to do it with that, but it'll make it a bit tricky. The easiest way to do it is to link it similarly to our percentage learning. So we know that 1,000 grams equals £2.60. So if we split that into 10, okay, because there's 10 lots of 100, the 100 grams will go into 1,000, and then we can times it by 3 for 300. So if we do £2.60 divided by 10 is 0.26 or 26p. That is 100 grams. So then we times this 0.26 by 3 to get 300 grams. So it's 0.78. So 300 grams is 78 pence. So just some clever division to be worked about with that. The learning intention today is to understand when to use units of measurement. So we're going to look at lots of different units of measurement today. We're not going to convert them today. But we're going to think about when might be the most appropriate time to use them. So our star words are length. So how do we measure length? Capacity, mass, and then kilo, milli, and centi. So hopefully we're recognizing those 3 prefixes, kilo, milli, and centi, from previous year's maths learning. So here are some pictures. We've got the road, we've got a classroom, we've got a piece of string, and we've got a screw. Now obviously the screw would not be that size, but I've made it bigger so you can see. So what units do we use to measure length? So as we're sort of thinking about that, just note them down on your paper. What units do we use to measure length? So what could we use to measure a road or a classroom or a string or a screw? What units could we use? Now today we're going to be looking at metric units. And metric units are ones we come across really frequently. So a lot of our metric units involve meters. Okay, so some common units would be centimeters, which hopefully we are making links with the rulers we use. So there is centimeters, millimeters, we have meters, and then we have kilometers or kilometers, depending on how you want to say it. And those are the four sort of most common metric units of length which we're going to look at today. So we're going to be using those four. So what I'd like you to do is I'd just like you to have a think. Don't need to note it down anywhere, but which of those units of length, so kilometers, meters, centimeters, millimeters, which one do you think would be most appropriate to sort of measure the road, how long that road is? Do you think millimeters or centimeters using your ruler would be best appropriate? Or something a bit bigger maybe? Remember, same with the screw. Do you think measuring a screw we'd use a meter ruler, or do you think we'd maybe go into millimeters? So have a think for each of those. Do you think which one do you think would be most appropriate? It's probably the classroom. We're looking meters. We get the meter ruler and measure how long it is. The road, probably kilometers. So it's going to be quite long. The string, all depends. It could be a massive piece of string, but that size piece of string probably centimeters. And then a screw, we measure them in millimeters. So there's different units of length which we'd use for different things for certain purposes, is what I want us to think about. Now, how would we measure how much liquid's in each picture? We've got a can of Coke and we've got a swimming pool. Would we use the same units to measure how much was in each? What units could we use? So have a think to yourself, what units could we use? There's a little clue on the Coke can. If you have a look, you might be able to see two letters which might give you a bit of a clue. Over here. So we could use litres and we could use millilitres. Now, millilitres is the smaller unit to measure, so probably would make sense to use it for the can of Coke. And litres, probably for the swimming pool. Now, we could do millilitres, but it takes a while to measure how many millilitres the pool was. And more units of measure that we use them to find the mass of different objects. So what units would we use to measure the mass of these animals? Would we use the same unit to measure the mass of the mouse and the bear? What would we use for each? Think about how we find what units we generally use when we're cooking or things like that for how heavy things are or how much to use. So we've got grams, and we've got that word we've not used yet, kilo, or kilograms. So which one do you think you'd use? The bear, would you weigh him in grams? Would you weigh him in kilograms? And the mouse, the same. So we'd probably weigh the mouse in grams and the bear in kilograms, since the bear is heavier. What I'd like you to do is going to be a bit of movement if you're up and able to do it. I'd like you to go about the house, not causing any fuss if your adults are at home working, but just locate something which can be measured with each of the units of measure on my list at the bottom. You each can note them down in your home learning book. So you might write millimeters, and then in your home learning book, go around, find something which you think could be measured in millimeters, and then note what it is next to millimeters. Don't need to pick the items and bring them all back and move them like we did in year 1 and year 2. You can just note them down next to them. It's about you thinking what would be the sensible unit to use for each. If you're unable to find any items for any of our units of measure, then have a think. Go back to some of my examples, or just have a think what could be used and note it down. I'm not going to come around and check that all the items that you've noted down are things that can be found in your house. And also, this isn't the work you're submitting, that's going to be your mathematics. So this is for you, just to get some practice. If you could go around and find something, find more than one thing if you can, but find something in your home learning book, note it down for each of these units of measure. So give the video a pause and off you go. Okay, hopefully we've been around and found some things, or if we weren't able to wander around, hopefully you've sat and had a think about what could be used and noted them down. Now what you're going to do now is use those skills you've just practiced there in your Mathletics task for today. So you're going to pause the video, you're going to go and log on to Mathletics, do your task, and then, different to yesterday, I want you to come back. We've got another quick problem to talk about. So if you pause the video and go and do your Mathletics now for me. Right, we should be back, so let's move on to the answer. You might get questions such as this, or might have to think about things where you estimate which unit would be sensible to use. To estimate the height of the door frame. So we're estimating the height of a door. Now, hopefully in our research today, when you were going around and finding different things, or even in your Mathletics activity, you'd realise some of these are a little bit silly and won't work. So 20 millimetres. That is what? Small part of a ruler. I don't think that'll measure a door frame, so we can probably discount that one. 20 centimetres isn't even a full ruler, so we can probably discount that one. 20 metres. Now bear in mind how long a metre ruler is, and that I'm not even 2 metres tall. I would doubt a 20 metre door would be the most sensible. 2 kilometres, some kilometres. My word, so that's huge. That's what we're going to use to measure the road earlier. So probably not a door there. 2 metres. So think about a 2 metre door. Would that be sensible for us to go through? A 0.2 kilometres. Now, as we're going to do in the next couple of days, that would be 200 metres. So 200 metres. We said no to 20 metres, definitely not 200. So it's probably that 2 metres, I would say. Now, I've said for you to go in your home learning books, but I thought actually, if we just sort of discuss the sensible choices for this one, it saves you doing something in your home learning books, and I can get, as you've already done a bit of work in them today, and I can get you on to your final task of the day. Okay, so a mathematically reasoned explanation would be telling me, just as we've done, why it can't be any of the others and why it's 2 metres. Right, finish today's session. I want you to go, as usual, to go and do your fluency practice those calculation skills, those quick recall. I want you to go on TT Rockstars at least 10 or 15 minutes and finish your maths for today with that. Right, end of the video, and I will do another one ready for you tomorrow. Bye-bye.